Hello, this is my first YouTube video with me in it actually. Um, I wanted to just discuss some things about trips to Japan. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube telling you what you need to do to prepare for your trip. Things from like credit versus cash to transportation in Japan to um, how the locals are over there. I recently went to Japan with my fiance this past April 2018, and basing on what was was made aware to me through all these YouTube videos was that uh, Japan is all cash. That you can't really rely on your credit card because a lot of the places that you will go only accept cash, and this is actually pretty false. I would say about what 80 to 85% of the places I visited in Japan accepted credit card. Um, Now my visits were pretty specific in that we went to Tokyo, Japan, and then we went to Kyoto, Osaka, Nara, and then we flew back to Tokyo for the remaining of our trip. Um, in those big cities, credit card was accepted practically everywhere. Um, sure, there were a few instances where cash was the only way to pay for things, especially in Kyoto because it's an old city um, with old-fashioned standards and whatnot. So, in small places, very small shops, yes, you will pay cash, and no other options than that. Um, no matter how big the city or how small the city is, if you're going to a shrine, a temple, you will always pay cash. There's no way around that. That's just the the money they accept. It's just easy cash. So be prepared not to use your credit card, at least in shrines and temples. But if you're going to be in the bigger cities, Tokyo, Osaka, even Nara, a lot of the places there accept credit card. Um, just like any other YouTube videos, if you want to take out cash, the best place would be places like 7-Eleven, where they accept foreign ATM cards. And any post office in Japan, you can pull out cash through your ATM foreign card. But really, though, I wouldn't really worry all that much for traveling to Japan with cash. I mean, for myself, I was prepared to pay cash. I even pulled out about $1,100 so I can. I thought would be enough for the 2 week trip that we took, and honestly, I basically blew right through all that money. But mostly it was because I went to those small shops where yes, they only accepted cash, and we went to a lot of temples, shrines where they only accepted cash, and that was that was understood. Um, even when you want to use the metro, um, you pay cash via the vending machines there, and then you put them on a Pasmo or a Suica card. And the one really great thing about their Metro card system, because I'm from New York, their Metro card system are these credit cards basically. They're not really credit cards, but you load them up with a whole bunch of cash, and you can use them obviously in any um, buses, trains. Talk about subway trains and regular buses. Um, and a lot of the convenience stores there, Family Mart, Lawson, 7-Eleven, they accept the Passmo slash Suica cards um, at the register to pay you for your goods. There are even certain restaurants on the smaller end that may accept it. I think we ran into one that did, depending on, I forgot what we ordered. It wasn't a restaurant per se, it was a small like food store. It wasn't one of the convenience stores, I know that much. But having the Sweet card loaded or the Passmo card loaded is a necessity there. Like I said, easily can be used for your trains and buses, but all convenience stores accept those two Metro cards. Um, but like I said, I blew by the money because I went to a lot of the small little knickknack stores. I did a lot of shopping in Akihabara for some just Sentai related figures that was just easier to pay with the cash I already pulled out. Um, and uh, the credit card I try to use mainly in touristy areas. A lot of the like the government buildings, a lot of the just touristy spots. I try to use my credit card in those areas. Um, Another small tip: if you want to pay in cash and say the bill comes out to be, I don't know, 1,800 yen, which is almost $20. Um, Actually, no, scratch that. If say the bill comes out to be, I don't know, 980 yen, which is almost, $10 basically. Uh, do not pay with a $2,000 yen bill. They will not accept it, um, even if you're meaning to pay for that with that amount, so you can get change back. Um, every place I went to, they will not accept a $2,000 yen bill. Only if the bill comes out to be over 2,000, they'll accept the $2,000 yen bill. 2,000 yen bill. I'm sorry, I keep saying $2,000 yen. So once again, if you go to a place and you want to pay in cash and the bill is 4,200 yen, you can pay with two 2,000 yen bills and then small change, whatever, whatnot. But like I said, if you're trying to pay for something that's like 800 yen with a 2,000 yen bill, they will not accept that. Um, I'm not entirely sure why, really. The 2,000 yen bill isn't really widely used. If you were to get back a large amount of change from any particular store, they really won't give you back a 2,000 yen bill. It'll be thousands and in small um, coin change, basically. I found that interesting, and I don't remember any YouTube video that I've seen that mentioned that. I don't want to say quirk, but it was just interesting that they wouldn't accept that. I think I also remember paying something that was like 1,500 yen, and they were iffy on taking the 2,000 yen bill from me. They even were looking at it as like, is this real? Is this counterfeit? Because I guess they really don't get a lot of customers that use that bill, which is really weird. The most common bills would be the 1,000 yen and the 5,000 yen um, bills over there. It was very strange, but it didn't really matter. I had the money on me, and it just made it simpler for me anyway. Um, when traveling there, another good tip would be to use Google Maps. Google Maps was a savior for us back in Japan. The only place that it really didn't excel really well were in areas where there weren't any trains, and you had to literally rely on their bus system, like places like Kyoto, old city, so all of their bus systems had Japanese kanji for the bus stops, the name of the bus line. So if you don't read Japanese, it'd be very difficult for you to navigate in Kyoto, um, even while using Google Maps, because the Google Map directionals will give you everything with Japanese kanji. It won't tell you what it is translated, and even if it did, you wouldn't be able to tell what bus line it is, what the bus in front of you, because the bus itself has everything in Japanese kanji. So it was a lot of work and a lot of asking and politely asking, like, is this the right bus for us? Is this where we're supposed to go for the bus stop and whatnot? So being in Kyoto was very just awkward for us, but bigger cities, Tokyo, Osaka, their Google Maps was perfect. It told you basically where to go, when the train will be there, what stop to get off, what stop you needed to transfer at, whether if it was going one direction or another direction. So Google Maps is very helpful for bigger cities. Um, the the train systems in Japan are extremely well done, well built. I don't even know what other way to say it, but it's they they have it down to to a science. All the trains, if they say they're going to leave at like, I don't know, 2 o'clock, they will leave at 2 o'clock. They're always on time. So if you're a late bloomer, try not to be late for the trains because they will leave you. And the next train, I mean, it may not be like half hour for the next train, but like for their local trains, they come pretty steadily, so you'll be fine. But their express trains, if you miss it, then you may be out of luck for some time. And they have different train systems there in terms of like in New York, it's a local or an express. In Japan, there's like a commuter express, there's a rapid express, there's an express, there's a local, there's the various different lines. So be sure to follow Google Maps with that because it's a really great tool and you won't get lost. Um, the the locals there have their customs and their ways. So if it's your first time in Japan, do not buy something to drink or eat or buy something to eat and then walk on the street, while drinking your drink or while eating your food. It's frowned upon. You'll get a lot of stares. So if say you go to a 7-Eleven and you want to get, I don't know, their peach drink and a hot bun, you pay for your goods, and then what you'll most likely see is a lot of people, not a lot, but some people who bought food from that convenience store, they'll eat it right in front of the store entrance, which usually has their recyclable bins and their garbage bins right there. So it's best to just drink and eat it right there, and when you're done, just throw out the wrappers and whatnot in its appropriate bin because they're all about recycling. So they don't want you to throw something that's not recyclable in the recyclable bin. Um, just be very aware of that because another thing in Japan is that you will not find a trash bin on every corner like you would say in here in New York City. Um, that doesn't mean that you will never find a trash bin because that's another thing I found out from a lot of the YouTube videos I saw was that, oh, in Japan, there are no trash bins anywhere. Not every corner has one, etc., etc. And yeah, that is true, but what they fail to tell you also is that Japan is littered with 7-Elevens, Lawson's, Family Marts. Like every block or every other block would have at least one of those convenience stores, and each of those convenience stores has all the necessary bins for throwing away your trash. So I don't know why they would forget to mention that in everyone else's videos, but that's something that you may want to just be aware of, that just because you don't see a trash bin doesn't mean you won't find one, because like I said, there are convenience stores everywhere and you can use their trash bins. Another very nice thing is that if you need to use a restroom and you're outside, you can go to any convenience store and the restrooms are spectacular. I'm not saying they're like these huge rooms with all these amenities, but they're very clean, very organized. Everything you may need would be in that restroom, and you can use it. You can just politely ask, may I use your restroom? And then they'll direct you where it is, and then you do what you have to do. But you never have to worry about, oh God, I have to use a restroom and we're nowhere near our hotel. Or you may think that if you're near a restaurant, you can use theirs. I would not do that because obviously if you're going to go into a restaurant, it's because you want to, go there to eat and use their services. So um, a convenience store is located just a few minutes away from where you are most likely. So you can use Google Maps to find one real quick and just walk over to one and just, like I said, politely ask, and you can use it. And it's so much better than the ones here in New York because if you're in New York, you know the restrooms here are just filthy and dirty and maybe taken care of like once a month. So that was another very nice feature of Japan when we visited there. A lot of the locals there, like I said before, they're bound to their customs. So always just be polite. They like it when you try to speak their language, even if it's a small phrase, like arigato gozaimasu or sumimasen, words like that. When you're approaching a cashier, they really appreciate that, and a small bow right before you leave when they give you your change or your goods. Another thing I noticed is that in Japan, when you reach a register to pay for your goods, you'll usually see a small tray about the size of their dollar, not dollar, but their bill notes, basically their bank notes. So you don't hand your cash to them, to the person at the register. You just put all the money right there in that small little tray, and they'll take it from the tray, count it, put it in the system. Or if you're paying with the Suica card, you don't hand it to them. The register that's facing you has a prompt screen, and you just kind of just flash your Suica or your Pasmo card there, and you pay that way. But if you're handling cash, you would leave it right there on that small little tray, and they'll take it from you. Don't hand them the money. I don't think that they view it as rude, but that's just how they're accustomed to handling cash from customers. Any customer, whether it's their own locals or tourists. Um, that's another little thing you may want to look forward to. The What else is there that I wanted to bring up? Um, oh, not that I would recommend, but don't take a taxi. Um, if you absolutely have to, like say it's like 8 o'clock at night and you may be lost or I don't know, can't get back to where you need to go to via train. Um, if you have to take a taxi, all of them speak Japanese, and you can't just say like I need to go to Appa Hotel. They're not gonna know exactly what that is or where that is unless you write it down like this specific address to where your hotel is, and it has to be in Japanese kanji. You can't just write it in in Romanji basically, and using English alphabet letters. So if you're going to your hotel the first day you check in, and if you predict that you will need to use a taxi at least once in the duration of your stay there, have the front desk person write down the name of the hotel and the address to the hotel, obviously in Japanese, so that in the event you need to use a taxi, you hand that paper to them, and then they'll know where they would need, to go to drop you off, basically. But once again, I would not use a taxi because they're extremely expensive. Um, it's it's like kind of like, what's the word? Like, it's really for people who have money, like cash, basically. Only pay with cash. And I think we were contemplating using a taxi one night. And it wasn't even far where we were to where our hotel was. I mean, we could have walked it, and I think we actually did. It was like maybe a 20-minute walk, but we were exhausted, so that's why we were contemplating it. But we tried to do just look up Uber service to see how much it would have been, and that 20-minute walk would have been like maybe a 10-minute car drive, and it was estimating about $40 or to $50 just to do that 10-minute car ride. So if that was just Uber, I can imagine how expensive it would have been just a regular every meal taxi there in Japan. So if you have to use a taxi system, be sure it's extremely local, because otherwise you're going to run up a bill that's you may not even be able to pay for. And once again, if you have to use a taxi, be sure that you have gotten your front desk man at your hotel to write down the hotel's name in Japanese and the address in Japanese, so that the taxi guy or woman can take you where you need to go. But I really suggest do not take a taxi. Other than that, I think that's all the tips really. Like I said earlier, a good chunk of the places you'll probably end up going will accept credit card. That doesn't mean that some will not. So obviously, I'll pull out cash. Oh, I highly recommend that you convert any of your money, whether you're from the States or somewhere else across the pond, from your bank prior to your departure, and be sure to do it with enough anticipation, because I did my Bank of America withdrawal, and I didn't need a week, but it took me a week because, with work, and I could only pick it up from that particular branch that I did the forms for the currency conversion. So it took me a week, but usually it takes about maybe 3 to 5 business days, less, depending, I guess, on the bank that you have. But be sure to, give yourself ample time to convert the money that you want to take with you to Japan. I wouldn't worry about carrying cash with you in Japan. That's a very safe country. I've never felt like people were, I know it sounds paranoid, but like conspiring or following me or whatnot. It's a very safe country. Nights are filled with people, especially if you're in in Tokyo. there are certain areas that just kind of resemble like Times Square here in New York. So lots of lights, lots of colors, lots of sound, and tons of people on the streets. So you're never really alone. Excuse me, unless you go one of those small streets that are they kind of look like alleyways, but even then there are still people that walk everywhere. So I don't even have to worry about it being robbed or whatnot. Um, be sure that your passport doesn't expire within 6 months of your trip because they will not let you in the country. So, say your trip is in, I don't know, January, but your passport expires, um, like what, November? Not November. Oh, like, yeah, if you're going in January, but your passport expires in February, it's highly likely they will not let you in. So, you have to have at least a good 6 months before your passport expires. That kind of grace period. I'm not sure why that's the reason, but yeah, just keep in mind more than 6 months before your passport expires. Your passport has to be good for that. Um, there was something else I thought of and I just completely forgot. Um, the oh crap! I completely blanked out on what else to say. But yeah, for the most if you're gonna be there, say 2 weeks, there's a Japan Rail Pass that you could get. Basically, uh, it'll allow you access to all the JPJY train lines, which is actually a lot of the train systems in Japan. Not to say that every train there is JP. There are other train companies, so it won't work on those, but it will work on the JYJP. I think it's JP train lines, and you pay like I think it's oh god, a total of 200 or was it 400? Oh my god, I'm sure you can look it up, but you pay that price, and all you have to do is just you go up to each of the like the train booths, and you show the man or woman working there, and they'll let you go, and that'll work with any train that works with that specific pass. And buses part of that? No, I don't think buses are part of that. But any of the like the express trains, the bullet trains, regular subway trains will work with that if that's the company that is associated with it. So that's a plus if you see yourself using a lot of those trains, which I think you will. Those are the most common trains, so I think it's a benefit for you to use the Japan Rail Pass. Um, and that's what I wanted to talk. Pocket Wi-Fi. It's most likely that you'll have very low service, maybe 2G speeds, and that's not enough for you to really use Google Maps. Your data speeds will really lag. So what I recommend is trying to find a pocket Wi-Fi. So it's like a puck basically, and it emits its own Wi-Fi signal basically, and you would connect your phone to the pocket Wi-Fi. There was one that we specifically got, and this specific pocket Wi-Fi, you bought the data that you thought you may end up using. So we bought a 50 gigabyte Wi-Fi pocket Wi-Fi, whatever, and that was actually way more than we thought we were gonna use, and we didn't use it all. We used up between both of we used it up. We used up 25 gigs, and we used it specifically for Google Maps. Um, the occasional sending of maybe a picture because I forgot what the reason was, but we try to limit to what we were going to use the data for because we were afraid that we would use too much. We didn't know how much data we'd be chugging down with Google Wi-Fi or, I mean, not Google Wi-Fi, with like say, Google Maps and whatever browser that was on our phone to look up information for the sites that we were seeing or whatnot. So we paid more for more data, but it was fine for us at least, even if we ended up using basically 25 gigs worth only. It was only like $120, so that for 2 weeks for 50 gigs, and I think that's a really good price no matter what. But look into getting pocket Wi-Fi's for Japan because, trust me, you will need to use at least that to gain access to certain, just to use your phone basically. Now, that's not to say that you can't use maybe Wi-Fi from vendors that are in Japan, which actually are a lot. There are even certain, um, whatchamacallit, no, not certain, all basically subway stations have access to Wi-Fi, so you're good to go if you're in the subway system. Um, there are even in certain areas in Tokyo, certain like shopping areas will have its own kind of Wi-Fi, so you can log into the Wi-Fi there. Places like Starbucks and McDonald's have Wi-Fi, so you can go to those places to get, internet access for your phone that you need just in case. There's a lot of Wi-Fi enabled areas, so you may be okay without getting a pocket Wi-Fi, but I do recommend that you do get one because you may go to an area that just doesn't have any store that has Wi-Fi, and you're kind of, you're screwed. So to avoid that, pocket Wi-Fi is the best thing to do. But like I said, though, a lot of the stores, every train station has Wi-Fi, so that's a plus, just in case. But yeah, I think that's it. Just wanted to let you know my experience and just give out some tips. If you have any comments, just leave them below. Thank you.